I'd like to talk about surviving to thriving. But before we get into that, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the first time, you're very, very welcome. So, surviving to thriving, what do I mean by that? Well, when I first lost my son, very sadly, just over 4 years ago, it was a situation where I actually thought, well, do I want to survive this? I don't think I can survive this. And I talk about it quite extensively in a video, which was called A Fork in the Road, where I felt that I had a couple of options and, you know, what option I decided to sort of take moving forward. But surviving for me was just trying to get through the day, just trying to not think about anything with the future, because the future had changed. The horizon had changed. Nothing looked the same. Nothing looked as it did before, prior to losing my son. So it was all new. It was all different. Everything had changed. I had changed. The things that I felt were important before losing my son weren't, possibly, not all of them, but weren't most of those things weren't really that important anymore. So my whole trajectory changed in life. So many things changed. And surviving was something that I was doing I was just getting by. I wasn't thinking too far into the future. I was just thinking, well, can I just get through the day today? How am I going to get through the day today? Some mornings I would wake up and say to myself, how am I going to get through today with the way I'm feeling? How is that going to happen? You know, what is my life going to look like moving forward? I just can't make sense of things. Nothing really makes sense anymore. So there was so much of that. When I got to a place where I made a decision, and I made a decision that I was going to try and help people, help others in my son's name, and then starting a charity in his name, volunteering for another charity where I, counsel and befriend and support women who have also experienced child loss. And I've been doing that for a good 3.5 years now, just over, possibly. And then that gave me that new sort of meaning and purpose, and that sense of meaning and purpose, and that sense of feeling that I'm doing something that's of benefit, that's going to be beneficial for others, hopefully. And that gave me so much. Sense of reward, sense of healing, sense of meaning and purpose and direction. And those were things that I needed in order to not just survive, but to thrive. And that's really what I'm getting at here. It's not just living my life as I did, soon after losing my son. It was very much, how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to get through this week? What's the future looking like? I just didn't want to look into the future too much, because I didn't, I don't think I think there was a lot of fear, and I think there still is fear around the future, because when something so awful happens, such as losing a child, it hits home really hard that the things that you are putting into place for the future and things that you are looking forward to in the future aren't necessarily going to happen, isn't necessarily all going to be what you get. If you're putting things into place now for the future, it's not necessarily going to be that you get that. You may and you may not. And I think losing someone, or when something so tragic happens in your life, you realize that, you know, to put too much into the future isn't always a good thing, because you might be let down. You might feel let down. And not that I feel let down by the universe so much because I lost my son. It's not that I feel let down even now. It's just pure and simple. We just don't know what there is in the future because we don't have it yet. And we don't know whether we're going to get it. You know, the past has gone by. We don't have that either. All we have is this present moment. We have the now. And every microsecond that goes by, we have that moment. And that's all we have. We don't know what we've got in the future. So why put so much into it when you don't really know whether you're going to have it or not? So when it comes to thriving, for me, was very much making that decision that I was going to do something positive as a result of losing my son. Making that decision first of all. And then once I made that decision, it was, okay, so what am I going to do? And what are the things that I can put into place that are going to give me, okay, the sense of direction and all the things I've listed already, but what's going to give me that motivation? Because I need motivation, don't I, in order to get up out of bed in the morning and do X, Y, Z. I need to feel motivation. Without motivation, I'm not going to be able to do anything. I might as well just stay in bed all day. I won't see the point in anything. And if you don't see the point in anything, meaning that you don't have any hope for the future that you may or may not have, you're not going to have any kind of motivation to do anything. For me to thrive and not just survive, I need hope. I need motivation. I mean, my hope ultimately is that I'm going to see my son again one day. Okay, pure and simple. And that's my belief. I believe that, you know, everything dies in this world. Everything dies. Everything comes to an end except love. And that is what we have, the connection that we have with each other. We are so intertwined emotionally with one another. I don't believe that energy of love dies, you know. And that's my opinion. So the hope and the ambition that I am going to hopefully, you know, have an impact, a positive impact on other people's lives, and that work that I do in honor of my son gets me from just surviving to thriving. And when I say thriving, it's thriving for me isn't necessarily what thriving for you means, or for the other person, or for the next person, or for the next person. We all have our own definition of thriving. For me, thriving means I do feel motivated that day to do X, Y, Z. I have, you know, this to do, that to do, and that for me is thriving. Even though for the next person that might seem, well, that's quite trivial. It might be trivial. It might be trivial for one person, but maybe for the other person it might be, wow, she's really getting on with things and doing things and putting things in place. And then when I come to the end of the day, I think, well, what am I going to do tomorrow? And I will have a mental list. I might even have a physical list of things, and I do, you know, videos and things I'm working on with the YouTube channel. I certainly do. But other things as well. You know, I do have a diary. I do check my diary. I do, you know, I'm still old school. People a lot younger, you know, have everything on their phone, on their calendar, on their phone. I don't necessarily do that. I still have a hard copy of a diary, which I open up on an evening and I look at, you know, what have I got to do tomorrow, and I'll mark things in there that I've done today, or however it works. But I do have, you know, schedule and things that I put into place. And that for me is thriving, not just surviving. Yeah. And I think finding what it is that you're passionate about, finding ways of moving forward with whatever it is that you're carrying is a step forward towards finding meaning and purpose, finding a sense of direction, finding trajectory in your life, finding ambition in whatever it is. But first of all, asking your heart, what is it that I can do now, moving forward in this situation that I'm in, the circumstances that I find myself in? What can I do? How can I make a difference? What do I have to offer? And you'll find that all of us have something. All of us have something that we can offer someone else. And giving to someone else does help so much with our own pain. So I won't say mental health struggles or grief, pain. It helps so much. And that's what I found. And I hope, we can all do that. We can all just move from surviving to thriving in our own way, in our own meaningful way. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you feel that the content of it might help someone else, please do share it. Please do like and comment. Please do subscribe. Thank you to all those of you who have already subscribed. It means so much to me. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, look after your hearts and souls. Thank you.